Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm your host, and joining me this week is a very special guest, Rob from Rob Plays. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's a true pleasure, and I was trying to remember, I think this is your second or third time on the show, maybe third?
Maybe third? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's too much, like, I love having you on just for any reason, and I was like, okay, this is a good time to have him back. We got Star Wars all over the place. Disney
Plus.
Plus.
A video game for like the first time in like 6 months, so it's like perfect timing.
It is perfect timing. Yes, it's like I planned it. No, I'm happy to hear that. But yes, and for everyone who doesn't know about Rob, please go check out his channel. Rob Plays over on YouTube. He talks about tons of Disney stuff. Basically, if you see any documentary about Disney or anything Disney related, Rob, you've probably covered something in some facet about it. Like, you cover some of the most deep dive stuff I have ever seen in my life. Some like crazy events in Disney history that I was like, well, I didn't know this happened. So
it's real selfish. Like, it's selfish too, because it comes from a place of like, whenever I look up something that I've already heard about or read about, I'm like, I'm bored. I know about this. I don't want to spend a week working on this. So it's only when I find something where I'm like, I didn't even know this was a thing, that I get really into it. And that's why I like end up finding as obscure subjects as I can find out there.
No, I adore it. I think it's really cool because there's just stuff that you run into and you're like, wow, I'd never figured that out. Or, like the more famous ones that you have, just like, why does the water in Disney smell the way it does? And it's one of those things I've asked myself for so many years, and now I'm just like, well, I'm actually quite informed on this now, because my friend made this beautiful video, and you can watch it and you can learn. Or like, how do they get rid of all those mosquitoes? And you're like, okay, it's just fascinating stuff. Rob does his homework, so please go check it out. And the videos aren't super duper long either. They're usually like maybe 8 minutes or so, not very long at all. So it's not like you're really gonna have to invest like watching a half hour on how they get rid of the garbage.
Another selfish part of me where I'm like, the shorter the video, the less editing I have to do.
Yep. No, that's just smart. I think that's just smart. No, trust me, as someone who makes videos, every minute or second you could shave off of a video is another hour saved. No, it's like, but anyway, we should dive right in. Let's start at the very beginning. Let's actually start with something you just started today. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That's quite a long title. I have gotten, maybe I'm like 10, 15 hours in or so, but you just started it today. So I want to know thoughts, feelings. Where are you at right now?
So, I mean, as far as the game goes, I want to say maybe an hour or two in. I'm not on the first planet with, I've already forgotten the names, with the sort of temple where you get the droid.
Yes.
I'm not there. I'm on to the next planet. So I'm in the middle of that, whichever one you pick, because you could pick Dathomir or Other. And I went with Other because I've heard of Dathomir and I wanted something new. So I'm not too far into it. I'm kind of fascinated by the story. That was the one part of the game I actually went in really blind on, because as far as gameplay goes, I saw on Twitter everybody giving it really good praise and everyone likening it to Dark Souls, which scared me a lot because I am not a fan of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I'm not good at those games. I'm very much a story first kind of player where, the idea of like having to spend more than a minute on fighting something just kind of turns me off a game. So I was very nervous about this game because everyone was just likening it so much to Dark Souls, but I heard so many great things and I figured, being Star Wars, it's probably mainstream enough that if there's going to be any version of Dark Souls that would work for me, it'd be this, because it's not going to be like too punishing. And I'm enjoying it so far. It's not knowing the story, I like how it's starting to expand. I mean, I don't know too much yet, but I do like the premise and where you kind of start off as. And I mean, the exploration I know is what's going to win me over. Like, every time you always hear Metroidvania used as sort of like a descriptor. And to me, that has always meant this sprawling map that you will never have a handle on ever. And you're just going to have to hope you find the right direction. Somehow they found a way to make it easier to explore, right? With the
Hmm.
that sort of 3D hollow map with the green and the red to just kind of show you what branches you haven't touched yet,
Yeah.
makes me really want to go back and like complete those branches.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think one of those things for me when they ever say Metroidvania, it almost makes me not want to explore for the first like half of the game because I think like, okay, I'm gonna walk by this door and they're gonna be like, you're gonna need this certain thing to open this door, and I'm just gonna be so frustrated that I don't have that thing. So it's like I will come back. So if I see things that I don't think I can interact with, I just wait and then I will return to them later when I've got like my full suite of powers, and then I can be like, oh yeah, I can open that up now. Now I can finally get in there, and maybe you'll crush whatever's in there, or maybe it'll just be a chest or something like that. But yeah, no, it definitely has that vibe to it. And I know you haven't gotten through most of the planets yet. And one thing that I think is interesting, and I'm fascinated to know what you think about eventually when you get more into the game, is when you kind of beat a planet or kind of finish the objective. There's not a fast travel or anything. So sometimes, I guess for me, it could be a little confusing, even with that cool hollow map, to be like, all right, I slid down this thing and jumped off this, but now I have to get back a different way. And they're like, get back to your ship. And I'm like,
yeah,
where's my ship? I'm like, where's my ship? Like,
I feel like I lucked out on the first planet. One of the things that I feel like Portal 2 almost, I don't want to say ruined game level design for me, but kind of was. One of the things I loved about Portal 2 was how it had the director's commentary. And one of the things on the director's commentary that always stood out to me was how they tried to use light to direct a player.
oh, cool.
So you ever notice where you're supposed to go in a map, there'll usually be extra light there or a flickering light or just something to subconsciously draw your attention to it. And this game, at least so far, does that a lot. At least on the first planet it did. And so I felt like getting around was actually really natural, and I almost felt like I would have had to force myself to go find all those other branches because it just kind of drew me back to the ship. Now that I'm on the second planet, it's starting to get a little bit more of like, all right, you just have to explore and find the right direction you're supposed to go in, which I do like. There are like the video game elements of it that, I do think from a video game perspective, it's really clever how you have basically your bonfires or the save points where you can heal yourself, but then all the enemies regenerate and respawn. And like I'm torn on that right now because from a game perspective, it's working, but then as a story perspective, it's already an uphill battle because it's a Star Wars game. So the fact that I have to swing more than once or twice with a lightsaber for anybody
Yes.
pulls me out of the narrative.
Yes.
But I also understand it's like Superman in video games. There's nothing you could do about it. Like it's either going to be the easiest game in the world or you just have to break that immersion. And I think the respawning system works a little bit like that, but I don't know. So far, it hasn't been a problem. I think the fact that you can change difficulties on the fly really helps alleviate that.
Sure.
Because I don't feel like I'm backed into a corner. At first, I was like super nervous about like, especially with all the Dark Souls comparisons, what am I going to play this on? Because I'm not the kind of person who dies 3 times and goes, all right, I want to overcome this challenge. It's more like I die 3 times. I'm like, I'm done with this game. There's no story that's worth this.
Yeah.
I like just coasting through and getting a story out of it. So the fact that I can just switch to easy when I need to and then bump it back up when I'm bored has helped already, and I'm only like an hour or 2 in, so yes. I enjoy that a lot.
Oh my gosh, I completely agree with you, Rob. I am also not a big Dark Souls fan, which I know is blasphemous to most people, and I know Christine somewhere very frustrated because every time I bring that up in the past when she's been on the show, she's like, I love Bloodborne, I love Dark Souls. I'm like, no.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I do get it. No, I should take it back. I do get it. People love the challenge, and they love that thrill when they finally overcome it. I'm not that person.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I hear you. I'm in the same, like, I enjoy when I overcome it, but it's just like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So, but basically I hear you with the meditation portion of it, because my issue has been, so the enemies respawn, right? That is so weird to me in Star Wars to be like, yeah, the stormtrooper you just like murdered is like, he's back, like, and it's so like, it's fine. I get it's a gameplay perspective, but then if you're gonna do that, then allow the fast travel between the meditation points. Like if you're gonna make it more video gamey, then just like kind of, I think, lean into it more, as opposed to being like, well, like, no, it's not. It's still like you got to work your way through it. My other question to you is, do you ever play the new Tomb Raider games at all?
Yes, I haven't played the newest of them, but I played all the others. I think there were 3 others at this point, or 2 others.
Yes, there's 3 altogether right now.
Okay, so I played the first 2, and I like them a lot.
Yeah.
Surprisingly so. Those were ones that I ended up getting the first one like for sale and thought, all right, let's give this a shot. And it's very everyone liked it. And this game too is getting this sort of comparison, but very Uncharted-esque,
Yes.
which I really love that. I love the climbing and the exploration,
Yeah.
puzzle solving, that sort of stuff. I mean, there were some areas where I was like, I know they're doing it to appeal to more of a wider audience, but there were parts so far in the first 2 hours where I'm like, I don't need to fight anything here. Like, I didn't need any enemies to feel engaged. I like the exploration, and then especially things like using your force powers to kind of get around. Like, I'm in one part where there are just like these mining rods that keep slamming into a wall.
Yeah.
And you need to like slow them down in time, get like that sort of stuff. You could give me a game of just that, and I would love it. So yeah, it had a very Tomb Raider-esque vibe to it.
Yeah, just less like Uncharted yellow lines everywhere to like climb this pole. All the poles to climb are yellow. Like they did a good job with that, I thought. So what do you think of Cal Kestis?
Isn't it hard with games like this where you kind of know, like, all right, I do like how they're peppering in his past, and I did see a little bit of a spoiler screenshot.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't a big spoiler, but just the idea that he's not just a random nobody who discovers he's force sensitive. I like that he's got a past and he had training and he was kind of thrown into the whole Order 66 mess. And I like seeing more of what happened to all of those Jedi. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm wondering where this narrative goes because, you've got him, you've got the captain and I guess the co-captain. I don't know any of their names yet. I haven't gotten accustomed to them yet.
Yeah.
But like this whole mission of like, we're going to restart the Jedi Order. And in the back of my mind's like, I've seen the movies. I know what happens. So either something's going to undo all of this, or there'll be a cool twist where it does have an impact on the trilogy that we just is unseen in the films. But it's hard when you know what the end game is to kind of expect. Like I'm just constantly wondering, like, okay, how's he going to die by the end of this game? Is he going to die? He must die at some point because he's not in any of the movies, And so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, so I did the math, Rob, because I'm that kind of guy, and you're a math guy too. So
I like that. Yeah, I was going to say.
So okay, Revenge of the Sith to New Hope. We got about 18 years roughly because Luke is like that old. 17, 18. This game takes place about 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, because in the beginning they're like, hey, it's a Jedi starfighter, and he's like, oh, how long ago was that? He's like, yeah, it's about 5 years, and like Cal's trying to kind of play it down. So that means we have like what, roughly 13 years here in between this and A New Hope. So we've got time to play with if they want, right? So they could still do the sequels and he could still die somewhere else. Or it's like in like the TV show Rebels, like there's stuff going on that you just will never ever see. Like
Does
lot
that
of
mean there's
more
a
stuff.
5-year-old Luke Skywalker running around in this game world?
Are we gonna like at one point we're gonna go to Tatooine and be like, hey, it's like little Luke, he's like, I gotta get to Tashi Station. Be like, get out of my way, kid. Or it's like,
have you played Force Awakens, the first one?
Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed, sorry.
Yes, yeah, yep. Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
Too many of these titles are too similar.
I know, yeah.
I'm already having problems with the Rise of Skywalker and Rise of the Resistance in Disney World.
Oh my gosh.
Like, two Rise games, two Rise attractions. But so Force Unleashed, like there was a great example where I also went in going, well, this obviously has one ending for this character because we've never heard him yet, without spoiling anything. The narrative does tie crucially into the world of the films in a way that I thought was brilliant, to the point where I walked out of that game going, that would have been a great like part of episode 3 if that was in the movies. It was so good. So, I'm not totally writing off this game knowing like, all right, well, we know where Z is and we're starting at A. It's the journey. And so I'm looking forward to the journey. The characters feel interesting. Like I really like the captain character.
Yeah, Grease, little alien man.
Yeah. He's, I don't know. Yeah, it's fun. They're written really well. It doesn't feel too video gamey. And I'm interested more in the other character. I'm awful with these names.
I think her name is Seer.
I have the box with me. I wonder if they're on the box. But yes, I want to know more about her past and why she's not a Jedi and all that.
You're gonna find out some stuff, man. Because guess what? It might not be as cut and dry as it. Like it's so funny because in Star Wars, I think they kind of give you that first like, here is like Jedi are good, Sith are bad. But then as like time goes on and the older I think this franchise gets, the more gray areas start to pop up. And I
Sure.
really enjoy that. So I'm hoping that's the case with some of these characters. But I agree. I like Grease, like the captain guy. The lip sync on him is really fun and cool. Like he's like a crazy alien man with this crazy like mustache, like
Yeah,
chops, like mutton chop thing kind of going
he
on.
just looks interesting. It's very
Yeah.
Star Warsy.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about getting on the ship and like kind of sitting in the ship as you go off into like light speed and
That's
landing?
cool.
Yeah,
That's moments where I know it sounds like I'm making myself sound old, where like as if I haven't been playing games my whole life, but that was one where for some reason I instinctively was expecting to pop into a menu, loading screen, and then move on. And then the fact that you're just on the ship wandering around and then you get in the seat and you land, and I was like, right, this is modern generation of games where you just kind of seamlessly go from A to B, and that's so much nicer. And yeah, I love that a lot. I love the lightsaber customization,
oh yeah.
even though as far as I know, that I don't know if there's any impact on the actual
I don't think
weapon,
there is.
but it's don't care. Like
Yeah.
I'm all about all of the sort of cosmetic customizable stuff.
Ah.
Like give me different costumes and paint schemes and all that stuff. For some reason I enjoy that more than unlocking like gameplay mechanisms, because then I never feel pressured into, okay, I need to go unlock more stuff, because
Yeah.
whatever, it's just all looks, so I can ignore it if I need to.
Yeah, no, definitely. And sometimes you get too many of those gameplay mechanics and abilities, and it's like, you're in the heat of combat, and you're like, what's the best way to do this, you know? So sometimes for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got this move. I should probably use that move because it's really good against that guy. But for some odd reason, I always think of Disney Infinity when I'm loading from one world to the next, because I just imagine all the worlds are loaded, but not completely loaded. So when you get in the ship, it's like it's going from like one like planet to the next planet, and it's just like taking your little area and just kind of moving it to like another part of the map or
Right
something.
next to, it's on the other side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So you like it so far?
So far, I'm digging it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I feel like a big part of that is being just like caught up in the whirlwind of Star Wars fever. Like
Yes.
since Galaxy's Edge opened, I've been reading the books again. Now with Disney Plus out, I've been watching Clone Wars, and I'm watching all the movies as I get ready for Rise of Skywalker. So like, I want it all. Like if this was a couple of years ago and I was like caught up in all of the Q4 big releases, maybe it wouldn't be something I could hold off on, kind of like the Tomb Raider games where I like them, but I didn't need to play them on day one.
Yeah.
But because right now I'm just like Star Wars fanatic, I'm just like, give it to me. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm going back and like catching up on Rebels because I didn't catch up on Rebels a long time ago. So having that, and there's some nods to like the Clone Wars in this game, it's really fun to hear that, and then I feel like I'm truly like immersed in that Star Wars world. And I love this time, like the time period from Attack of the Clones up through the Jedi Purge is probably my favorite Star Wars time. There's just something such interesting about like all the clone weirdness, and then like the Purge and like Vader and all that stuff that's really interesting. And then like the grittiness of that Star Wars coming back with like all the machines are kind of dirty, and you know everything isn't like super clean and futuristic-y. It's like it kind of hobbled together kind of stuff. I love it. I think it's really cool, and I think they got the look for this game down like really well.
It does. It looks great. I'm playing on a regular PS4. It performs really well. Although I heard this is one of the first few games where you can tell the difference between a PS4 and a PS4 Pro.
Oh, sure.
So I don't know. But just, yeah, there was a moment in the very beginning when you work on the scrapyard that's cutting all these capital ships, and they bring down a separatist ship. And that was such a cool moment because, you know, I grew up watching the prequels as they were coming out, and they were new and everything was slick and clean. And that was like one of those moments where it really felt to me like the era was kind of now baked into Star Wars.
Yeah.
Completely. It didn't feel like, oh, those are from those movies. It's just like, no, that's just from that part of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it was just really neat to see.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Have you had any like texture popping? Because I'm getting a lot of that just on my regular Xbox One.
A little bit.
Okay.
I've been having, it's like weird glitches here and there. For the most part, it performs perfectly fine. I had one instance where it was like kind of a cutscene, one of those in-engine cutscenes, and it fell out of sync. So all their lip syncs were off by like a half second. And then occasionally just like a thing pops in. But I'm typically like, it's hard for me to notice that stuff. I let all of that go pretty easily. So it's been otherwise looking pretty great.
Yeah, well, I've heard a little PSA for people out there. Apparently on Dathomir, there is a jump, and I actually just found this recently. There's a jump you're not supposed to be able to make, and if you are able to make it early in the game, you don't have the force powers to progress past that point. So you'd have to start your whole game over, potentially. So you be careful on Dathomir, because I saw that come up first, and I was like, I'm going to save Dathomir, because I know about Dathomir, but I'm coming back. And so I just got there, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I was like, I can't progress any further, so I guess I'm leaving. And I was like, I'll be back later. So yeah, it was interesting that they let you go there early, and there's like a big story moment that happens there, and it kind of happens unceremoniously, and there's like multiple parts in the game where this can happen. So I'm just interested to see why they did it this way. I'm sure one day we'll find out why. But yeah, so Dathomir, Rob, you save Dathomir. Save it for later, buddy. Like you come to it later.
I was going to anyway, because I was like, I'm wondering. I don't remember if that planet was in Star Wars Galaxies.
Oh.
Or if I'm confusing it with another planet, but I know it's been referenced in the lore enough that when I saw it, I was like, I recognize that one. I don't recognize this one. Let's go to that one. See what it is.
It's huge in the Clone Wars when you get further into the Clone Wars. Yeah, as you probably
my
remember.
one big ask of the game, to be honest, and I don't know, maybe it will. I'm still early enough that it's not like I'm not expecting it, but I would love if you go to more populated areas.
Oh, sure.
I don't want it to be just purely the Uncharted. No, because even Uncharted doesn't do this. Even Uncharted at times will bring you to like really populated, cities or spaces. And I would love to see that here. I'd love to see maybe not necessarily Coruscant, but like just a planet that doesn't look like a remote outpost that is occupied by the Imperials and or animals that want to eat you.
Sure, yeah, that would be great. I would still love just like a little nod to like Star Wars 1313. They're like, all right, you have to go to Coruscant for like one hot minute, but don't stay long because it's a bad place now. Yeah, no, I hear what you mean, because that Tomb Raider, the most recent one, did that too. Like the beginning of the game, you kind of go through like a village and it's like tons of people. It's like Day of the Dead, so that was kind of cool. So yeah,
it's such a long way in world building. Like it's such a big deal.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So you're going to continue playing this. You're going to see it through to the end, as you say.
For sure.
And you kind of bump the difficulty around. I love that you're not afraid to jump back to like easy if you want.
Oh, yeah. When I say I bump the difficulty around, it's between the easiest and then the next one up, and just those two.
Okay.
I really don't care. Like the first time I like have to fight a giant monster that takes like over a minute, I'm like, no, I just want to know what happens in the story. And I love that a game will let you play how you want to play. I know there's in the gaming community often these discussions about the way it's meant to be played or should be played.
Sure.
And I get that, but at the same time, it's such an interactive medium that I do believe that at the end of the day, how the player wants to play it, and as long as the tools are there, then that's what matters. And so, I have no shame in saying like I'll go through this game on easy if I need to.
Sure. Yeah. Last question for you: lightsaber color. Which one do you want the most out of any color?
I'm playing with green now.
Okay.
And I like it. And typically that's like my favorite lightsaber color. I don't know why. I think it's because it was Luke's in Return of the Jedi. And
sure,
for some reason, I just love that look. But if they needed to add one, I know a lot of people are talking about purple, but I wouldn't mind like white. Oh. So that's weird. With Galaxy's Edge, I've been getting all the crystals for the lightsabers. And at first I was like, I'm not getting any of these crystals. I am a purist. Blue lightsaber, green, red. That's it. Those three, no other ones. Like even purple was too much. There's just because Sam Jackson liked purple. We don't
exactly.
know it. There's not like a lore thing.
Yep.
And so then they introduced like white and yellow, and even more. I was just like, no. Why are we adding all these colors? Like, just make these three. But what's cool about it, and I don't know if they would do it in the game, I hope they would, is that all of the different colors have different sounds. Oh. So it's not like your typical, sort of cliche lightsaber sound effect. It's got like different hums or different startups. And so if they did that, then I would want like a white and a yellow to be added.
Yeah.
That'd be
speaking of sounds, I love it when you deflect a blaster bolt perfectly. It makes that perfect, like, kind of parry noise or something back, and you're like, oh, that guy's done. You're like,
and I love the banter that you hear from some of the, especially when you die, some of the stormtrooper lines are great. We're just like, did we actually kill him? Or like, this is going to look great on my record.
Exactly.
All that stuff's really fun. I love anything that humanizes them a little bit more.
I had one guy who's like, we're 1-on-1 now, Jedi. And then he hit me. He's like, oh my goodness, I hit him. Should I have hit him or something like that? And I was like, exactly. Oh, to kill you. I was like, oh, that's so good. Yeah. Have you fought any of the other specialized troopers, or has it been mostly just the regular troopers so far?
I've been getting the the ones with the shoulder pads, the
Yes.
commanders,
Yeah.
and so they're a little bit tougher. And then I'm like running into the rocket launcher kind and stuff like that. I'm glad at how many there are,
There's a
because
lot.
every time I looked up a clip or just popped it on Twitch just to see what it was like, I always saw people fighting creatures,
Yeah.
and that gave me heavy Dark Souls Monster Hunter vibes, which are games that I'm just not into. So I was
Sure.
like, I could go through Stormtroopers all day in compared to like, a monster. So
I
I'm
think
glad
they're
with how many I'm running into.
Yeah, I think they're more compelling too. And later on, when you get lots of varied ones in the same group, that's where it gets to be really fun, I think, as opposed to just a big monster that just takes swings at you.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, eh. Also, if you're like, I don't know how you're blocking, you block with a lightsaber and they don't hurt themselves. They should take a little damage from that, right? If they're punching into a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who thinks it bothers
That's
me?
where you get to that line, or imagine if it was a real lightsaber, how easy that game would be. You just
I know. I just
chop them to bits.
And maybe Disney was like, no dismemberment unless it's, the monsters or the robots, but on the stormtroopers, just draw a little like burn line through them. I'm like,
basically, yeah.
Come on, let me cut off an arm.
I'm sure there'll be a mod on the PC version.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there'll be a mod with blood included. They'll be like, I know it doesn't make sense, but if anybody saw New Hope, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, well, cool. I'm glad you're liking it so far. And it's the first game you played in like 6 months. What was the last one? Do you remember?
Man, I tried Witcher 3 on Switch and I couldn't get into it, which I wanted to, because it's a game. It's one of those games I want to love.
It's great.
But on the Switch itself, I feel like there's too much going on.
Yeah.
And too much with the controls for something so small. Before that, I mean, the last game I remember completing is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Sure.
And that wasn't that was February. That was even longer. I got
long.
super back into Grand Theft Auto for a while.
Oh, cool.
Especially finding all these roleplay servers on Twitch, which I thought were really fun. And so there was a good week where I was playing a ton of those just to get into them and see what they were like. Because I love how it's a sandbox, and they take this set of tools. And if you've ever seen these servers, they're so different from GTA, the game you play. Like, you've got people playing police, people playing criminals, people who are just playing taxi drivers, and people who are just playing like tow truck drivers. And they all function within one another, where, the police will call for a tow truck for a car that gets left behind. And, people play by this honor system to make it more fun. And it really ends up being like a really fun tool for like improv acting almost,
Cool.
for everyone's characters. And it's one of those things where doing it yourself is never as entertaining as watching people who do it, like, almost sounds weird, for a living. But like, if you go on Twitch and look at some like the no pixel channels out there and what they do, it's almost like watching a weird, funny reality TV, because it's just, they're all in character. Nobody's themselves.
That's
so
cool.
I played a little bit of that.
That's okay. Cool. Nice. I was going to say, cause I know that you're talking about like Red Dead there for a second. And last year, did you play God of War?
I started it. I never finished it. It's on my to-do list.
This game has a lot of kind of similarities, especially with like crawling through a thing. And like, I think it's for loading purposes, or kind of like you're going through like a tight space, kind of doing that, or kind of Tomb Raider-esque. And I was just wondering if you kind of saw any similarities there.
Oh,
for
yeah,
yourself.
for sure. It's funny. I had that same train of thought today while I was playing, where I was like, man, every game's got to do to like just squeeze through two really tight spots. And then I remembered, like, oh yeah, it's like a good loading trick to get the rest of the map loaded on the other side. But this game has expanded. They've done yes and the and is now you do like the little hop up when there's something on the floor.
Yeah.
Right? So they're progressing it a little bit.
Yeah, like you'll duck under a BD, will be on your back, and you'll kind of dodge something, and you're like going through.
Yeah,
like, I'm sneaking through.
He's growing on me too.
Yes.
I'll admit, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, we don't need everything to have a cute droid.
Yeah.
But I like how he functions from a gameplay perspective. He's your map. He helps you scan things, and it never feels, I don't know, it doesn't feel like he's there. It just feels like an extension of you. So I don't know. He doesn't bother me anymore, and he's growing on me a little bit. He's not too overly cutesy. He's just cutesy enough.
Yeah. Well, and I think he makes more sense, like with the bipedal, action of him. Like, because these other droids they give you, it's always like somebody rolling on something,
Yeah.
or they've got a jetpack. But like, he's just like, no, I can just run around on the ground or run and jump onto this thing. And I was like, that makes the most sense to me for like a droid. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, BD's growing on me too. He's so cute. And I like that when all the droids in this game, well, like him especially, he'll be so cute, but then when he has to do something, he just turns back into a droid. Like when he has to show like a video, he's just like,
Exactly.
there's no more emotion. He's gone. He's become useful once again. Yeah. So I'm excited to hear where your thoughts lie as you dive deeper into all of this. So
luckily it won't take forever because I've heard everything from 6 to 8 hours to like 20 to 30, but all of that is doable for me. That's part of why I guess I didn't keep going with The Witcher, is it's just so big.
Yeah. It's a very big game. Are you gonna get Cyberpunk 2077, by the way?
I want to, but then again, I don't know. I want to.
Yeah.
I really love the premise and the setting. So like,
maybe.
Yeah, I really badly want to, but I don't know if it's one of those games. I don't know if I have it in me anymore to do like those Skyrim-sized games that take hundreds of hours, because I can't put too many hours in every week, but I'll probably give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of putting too many hours into something every week, Disney Plus. Here we are.
There you go.
Week two. Now, I love listening to your podcast, and I did catch up on it the other day, and I heard your initial thoughts on most of these kind of Disney original things. How do you feel about them going forward? And I think I want to start, obviously, with Star Wars. Let's talk about Mandalorian Episode 2.
Love it. Love The Mandalorian. I have already watched both episodes multiple times.
Nice.
I feel like it is very spaghetti Western in tone.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for what it is. And it's funny, I've seen so many people say like, oh, this is what all the movies should be like, but I don't necessarily agree. I think this is great for this story.
Sure.
Because it is drab and depressing and really just like, I don't know, it is a more realistic, grounded, dirty, gritty world. And I don't know if I'd want a whole trilogy of movies like that, but this story, I'm loving it. And I mean, I won't talk the big spoiler, but it's just fascinating. I want to know what's going on with these characters. And it still feels like it's part of the Star Wars world, but it doesn't feel too small world-y to it. Like they haven't really run across anybody where you go, oh, he's from this, and this is how it all ties together.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll do that. Maybe it won't. I wouldn't. It's not like I dislike it if that's what ends up happening. But the fact that it doesn't do that every episode, or do like the wink, wink, look at this reference I'm making now, I'm making this reference. It just kind of throws in the references very subtly, or just as if it's no big deal. And I love all of that. So the only surprising factor for me has been, I didn't realize they were going to be so short. Second episode's only 30 minutes. The first like 40 minutes. It's not like it feel like I need more, but I just was caught off guard. I was expecting like an hour each episode.
Yeah, I wonder if this is Disney's master plan, and then the last episode will be like 30 seconds, and you're like, the last episode
it just keeps getting shorter.
Yeah, it's like they're like, we said 10 episodes, we never said how long it would be. And you're like,
oh, one episode, we got to cut this thing down. We made one movie.
Exactly, but that 30 seconds is going to be worth the 20 million they put into it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How Indiana Jones is the second episode though. He does the kind of a whip grapple at one moment. We won't spoil it completely. And there's another moment that's just Last Crusade where he's hanging on something. There's a rock, and I was like, perfect.
Nice reference in there. It's I love that he is not. My biggest fear going into the show, and knowing he's not Boba Fett, it's just a Mandalorian. But I was afraid they were going to make him Boba Fett, and not in the literal sense, but in the figurative. Oh, they're going to make this mute protagonist who's super badass and just great at everything, and it's going to be like a 13-year-old's like dream of what a cool character is. But I like that he, ends up on his back multiple times in fights. He's not perfect at fighting. He does talk. He's got moments where he does the whole strong silent type, but then he's got moments where he admits that he'd rather take an easier way or do something else. And so I kind of like how they're building him up. He's not all the way in one direction or the other. It's like a nice middle ground. And I just want more of all the other characters, like Carl Weathers' character. I want to know more about. Definitely want to know more about Werner Herzog's character.
Yes.
Which is that the first time we've got a German accent for like a bad guy.
For an
I'm assuming he's a
Imperial, yeah,
bad
because
guy.
usually it's British.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
was like, maybe it was too on the nose in the 70s or something, but I thought it was I don't know, he's really great. It's just I want to know more about like the Mandalorian who builds the armor. I want to just know
Yes.
about all of that. And so I'm really happy to hear they're already filming season 2.
Yeah, I love that the guild, everybody's wearing helmets, even like the kids. Like no one does not have a helmet on. Like
Yeah.
everyone's got helmets. Nobody takes off the helmet. Yeah, I really like the second episode. I think it's really good. It's a lot of fun, and I'm just excited for. I just want more. That's the problem. That's
Yeah.
why they don't let us binge these, right? Because we'd be done with it by now. We'd been
I
done
know
first
it
day.
kills me. I would love to binge it, but I also get why they're doing it. They also need to hold on to people as long as they can.
Yeah, totally.
My
Yeah.
weird thing with Disney Plus is I find it strange that all the shows update on Friday.
That is maybe it's because of the weekend. Maybe they want people to. Maybe that's I wasn't ready for that either.
It makes me feel like on Friday I have like homework to do where
Yeah.
it's like, all right, I got to watch this, and this now that it's all out. I'm surprised they didn't just do it every few days to spread out the use. But otherwise, it's been Disney Plus in general, The Mandalorian, all their shows I've been enjoying for the most part. A few misses here and there, but I've spent a lot of time streaming this past week or so, and I don't normally.
Yeah. Well, the other big one I want to talk about, obviously the one that you love the most, Pixar in real life. Okay, so I heard you talk about this the other day. I only watched the first one. I didn't see the second.
Yeah, I don't. Is the second out yet?
I don't know. I don't really care. So for people who don't realize, I don't know if I talked about it last week, but basically, Pixar in real life, the first episode is they put this like emotional control center out in New York, and they like you come press buttons, and then 2 actors will come up and improv depending on what buttons or emotions you would hit. I was like, that's fine, but as you said so aptly in your podcast, Rob, you said like this should be like a 90-second bit. This thing went on for 7 minutes, and it was just that episode was just 7 minutes at that, and I was like, oh, this should probably like move along. It was like,
the format that works well is like if you look at a trigger happy TV is take that 7 minutes, and I wonder if this was their original plan, cut it up into 30-second bits and sprinkle it throughout an episode so you keep revisiting it.
Yeah,
but like all at once. It was not good.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But besides that one, I do want to talk to you about the Imagineering story.
Love it. Also great.
I adore it, but I think I adore it even more because I feel like I'm slightly more in the know. And again, it's because I feel like I've watched so many of your videos and like Offhand Disneyland and like all this other stuff. So there's some stuff in there. Like when they talked about sewage for a hot second, I was like, Rob.
Yeah.
So when I hear about Disney sewage, I think of you as friends do. So I wanted to know how you feel about like the second episode, kind of more Epcot a little bit, and what would Walt do after he died?
It definitely changed in tone because the first episode was so clearly the Walt episode.
Yeah.
And you have to establish the groundwork of Disneyland and build that all up. And it was kind of, I realized that was where they were going to go with it anyway. I personally like that a lot. I try to remember that like the audience this is aiming for is like not people like me who is like, oh, wait, you made it set a line about the sewage, go into that for half an hour.
Yeah.
Like this is for fans who want to know more, but maybe don't want to know everything. And I think it covered all the basics really well while still showing some like really great emotional bits. That episode 1, when they got Bob Gurr to go into the Matterhorn and sign his name, like, that was just so good. Yeah, exactly. It was that sort of storytelling was fantastic. Going into Epcot in episode 2, it was interesting because I felt like they could have done an episode that was just Epcot, but I understand they also, I guess, they weren't prepared to do a whole episode on Tokyo Disneyland. So it just kind of became this sort of like appendix to it.
Yep.
Of just like, and also they did this one. And I think that's going to be a big setup for maybe the next episode or the one after that, where whenever they cover Disneyland Paris, because I've noticed the way they wrote it was like, they made it look easy, expanding to international, parks. And I was like, but it won't be with Paris. So can't wait to see how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was really fascinating. It was very comprehensive. It kind of explained it all really well. I love seeing all this footage that I'm used to seeing as like highly pixelized, like rip of a rip on YouTube. And they finally have like these masters out there that are just beautiful footage, archival footage. And they're perfect length, perfect tone. It's just, I've been enjoying them a lot.
Yeah, no, I think one thing I love specifically about that first episode is that they don't shy away from things. They said Universal Studios in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, they mentioned it. Like usually it's kind of almost like a faux pas, like don't talk about other parks. And then at the end when they talk to the kind of surviving Imagineers and they kind of talk about Walt and when he died, and they started to get choked up, and I think like that just shows like how much they care and still care about him. And it like got to me. I was like, oh my gosh, like watching Bob Gurr be like he just couldn't talk for a second. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, guys, please turn away. But that second episode, yeah, there's so much going on. And then to think like they're doing those two parks at the same time. And I'm sad now because I know that this story will probably be over. You know, I don't know how many episodes this is going to be, but I wish they would make it longer. Like I'm already like, oh, they're going to get through this pretty quickly. Like they're going to do Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom and the international parks and then talk about the future. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully it makes way for more of a behind, because I don't think they could cover everything in this style, because there isn't as much of an emotional story to the development of Dinosaur or, you know, Indiana Jones, right? Sometimes a ride's just a ride, but there's still fascinating things to learn about it. So hopefully however this performs, it kind of shows them that they can do maybe a series that's a little less, I think, heavy from a story perspective, but still goes into all of this stuff and covers it on a more ride by ride. That's what I originally thought it was going to be. I thought Imagineering story would be like, all right, this is the Space Mountain episode where we're going to go inside the history and everything of Space Mountain. I didn't realize by the Imagineering story, they meant the story of Walt Disney Imagineering as like a historical documentary. But I would love to see both of those things at the end.
Let's do that season 2. Let's just do one. It's one ride, because they're like Pirates of the Caribbean, big deal, just technical masterpiece, but like they're not there that long. Like I'd love just a 45 minutes on like Pirates. Be like, all right. Yeah.
Or that's they're so afraid to, I feel like, but I would love a series like that on old rides that are no longer around.
Oh my gosh, dude! Like Horizons,
Alien Encounter, Horizon,
exactly.
All those things. I feel like on a certain level, they don't want to admit that there's a fandom behind these rides, because then that implies maybe they shouldn't have gotten rid of them. But I think they should lean into it and just make that tribute to these rides that people love, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. I also like that they kind of show that Walt wasn't necessarily the easiest guy to work for all the time, and they talk about that pretty openly, which I thought was nice, because usually in these types of things, it's like, this person was perfect in every possible way, but then they talk, like at one point he told like, it's like Raleigh Crump about Small World to put like a clock up on there, and he's like, yeah, you're gonna do it, and you like better do it damn well, or something like that, where he's just like, get to work, and it's like, yes, sir. Like
he was in a lot of ways, a very Steve Jobs type character. Disney has been impressing me with how it doesn't necessarily feel like a polished commercial.
Yeah.
I'm sure part of it is, but they're also approaching it like a legitimate documentary.
Yeah. I also love that they got Angela Bassett to narrate, but then sometimes I forget she's there, because she'll narrate for a little bit and then he just won't. It's just like testimonials from all these people living and dead. And you're just like, whoa, like this is pretty cool. Like all these people just talking, like the voice of John Hench. And you're like, all right, cool. It's just like hear from him for a while or something. Yeah, but I love that series. And I don't know if it's on there. Is Wonderful World of Color and his like the Walt's like actual shows on there yet?
No, there's one title that it's actually on my watch list called, I think it's Disneyland Seasons. Let me pull it up real quick here. It is, Disneyland Around the Seasons. That's the only thing that I could find besides this series that you could call like archival, style. Hopefully they do put things like Wonderful World of Color and just like everything. Just put everything. Put the Epcot film on there. Just why not dump it all on there? It's more content.
Yeah,
like it.
I want that so badly. Also, I feel like they were so innovative, because like those old videos feel like Patreon videos, like proof of concept videos, like Walt was doing it decades ago. He's like, yep, every week they would come in and be like, here guys, here's Magic Kingdom, here's what we're doing, and it's like, what? Like that's so like nobody does that. Like you don't.
Some of it worked, some of it didn't.
Yeah.
They do have some documentaries now that I'm looking at it. So it looks like they have some old Mickey Mouse Club stuff, but they also have like Waking Sleeping Beauty, which is a fantastic documentary. They have The Boys about the Sherman brothers. So they have a few things like that that'll go into it, but nothing that's like just pure unedited archive stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
I love that. That's one of the originals I tell people to go watch first, though, that Imaginary Story. And even if you're not a Disney like parks fan, I think you can still appreciate just like the level and the craziness of all of it, and how illogical it sounded at the time and how radical it did sound. But nowadays it's like, that makes perfect sense. But like, and hearing Walt took out like a life insurance policy against himself, I'm like, Oh my gosh, like he's like, I'm all in on this, baby. And it's just like, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. And how they still had disasters and they still talk about that in here. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, Disneyland day one was really bad. There's a lot of problems. And I was like, they talked about that. I thought they were gonna be like, it was perfect. It was a perfect
And they even
day.
talk about how Disney World kind of opened just really tepid, and
Yes.
they're not afraid to mention that sort of stuff. It'll be interesting to see how they cover Disneyland Paris, because that went through a pretty rough number of years. So I don't know. We'll see how much they go into it.
Yeah, well, there's one of the guys who's saying, he's like, yeah, we had helicopters drying the cement or whatever, the concrete, right before people were coming or something. I was like, I didn't heard that before. I was like, oh, I could just imagine like quick. So yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm excited to see more. Imagineering story, and that aside, the other one that comes to mind right away, probably The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
I really love that one too.
Yeah.
I actually love. I mean, I like them all. They're all very different, but if there was one I would want to binge, it would be that one.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I feel like those are. It's just so. I was afraid, like, and I kind of mentioned this on when we talked about it on this podcast, but like, I'm not fully bought into the whole like, oh, Jeff Goldblum, he's so whimsical, and like I get it, and that's his charm, but I'm not like a hardcore fan because of that.
Yeah.
So I was going like, is this just going to be him being quirky for 30 minutes a week? Like, because I will get bored of that. But it's not. It really is a fascinating look at different cultures of different things. First episode being sneakers, second being ice cream. And I love that sort of weird span of topics so far of just, there's no theme tying it together. It's really just, here's a thing, here's sneaker culture, and we're going to show you the conferences and the expos where people are spending tons of money, and you're seeing it through the lens of Jeff Goldblum, but it's not all about how quirky he is.
Yeah.
And that to me makes it work. And just from this is more, I guess, inside baseball, but the way they show B-roll, the style that they have in like the intro segment, like all that stuff is awesome. I love when people get creative with what would otherwise be kind of a bland documentary. And so for those reasons alone, even if you took Jeff Goldblum out of it, I really would have enjoyed it just for the approach.
I was going to say, maybe that's it. Maybe it's not Jeff Goldblum, because it's when I thought the show was going to be, when I first turned on, I was like, oh, it's going to be like him sitting in a chair and they're going to ask him topic questions and he'd be like, this is what I think about it. But it's not that. It's not the world according to him. That's just how the world works. And it seems like there's some mastermind behind the scenes who's just like, who's a good star? Jeff Goldblum,
right?
Bring him in. That sounds great. We're going to have him read stuff that we write up, and like it's going to be as factual as possible. So I feel like you could almost take this show and maybe put almost anybody in there. Not that Jeff Goldblum's bad. He's great. I just think that he's not the compelling reason to keep watching it. You know what I mean?
There's this British documentarian, Louis Theroux, and he does fantastic documentaries because he's just a blank slate. And he's covered a wide range of topics. It's usually heavier stuff, but like not always. But he'll like go to Vegas and he'll just follow a high roller and just explore the life of somebody who's a high roller at Vegas. Why do they do it? How much money they're spending? And he never approaches it with a judgmental eye of like, that's ridiculous, or I'm here to talk down to you about what you're doing, or I'm here to support what you're doing. It's just like, I'm going to keep asking questions until I start getting like the raw truth out of you.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is like the American version of that with Jeff Goldblum. He's never there. It never really feels like he's making fun of the stuff he's getting into. If anything, he seems like a good character to like have an open mind about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't prejudge, what he's stepping into. And I think that's what makes it work, is when he goes in to do the shoe stuff, it's not like, oh, you're spending $800 on shoes. Were you crazy? It's just like, oh wow, there's so much money around here. It's so fascinating. He wants to know more, and that's the best outlook for those sorts of documentaries.
Yeah, think if you were the shoe surgeon, you just make a pair every once in a while for like 10 grand or whatever it was. Like he was kind of making like.
I feel like everyone who watched that at one point's like, I could just paint shoes. Like maybe I should get into this.
And that guy's like, I thought of it first. No, yeah, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna keep watching that too. Like I said, he isn't really the continuous draw for me. I think it's just the topics. And as Christine said on your show, I think they're doing one about video games, which is going to be something I'm really interested about. I'm like, okay, cool. Is there any other original stuff on there that like you've been really getting into?
There've been a few like Pixar short. I think there's just the one Pixar short that they released, which was Float, which I thought was pretty good. It's just a new outlet for what you'd typically see before Pixar movies. Have not checked out High School Musical, the series. Not
Mhm.
really interested. Encore, have not checked out. Not really my like jam.
Sure.
I did see Noel in theaters,
Oh
the
yeah,
Christmas
yeah.
movie. It was good. It was like better than your forgettable Lifetime Hallmark Christmas movie. Definitely better to be on streaming, because
Yeah.
my outlook when I walked out was like, if I had paid $15 to see this at a theater, I would feel cheated. It's not that good of a movie, but to just throw it on while it's on at home, decorating the tree or whatever, worth a watch.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I've really been watching is the Forky Asks a Question shorts,
Oh yeah, is
which
that
I
any good?
find, yeah, they're amusing.
Okay.
They, unlike, I mean, those are only, I'm pulling it up right now. I think they're only like 3 minutes each. Yeah, they're like 3 minutes each. So they're short, kind of funny. They don't overstay their welcome as jokes or gags. And yeah, but this is another great outlet for that. Like, I'd feel cheated if that was the movie short that they played. I probably wouldn't pay for this on its own, but because it's there, 3 minutes every week, sure, why not? Pop
Sure.
it on.
I still haven't seen Toy Story 4 yet, so I'm waiting for them to
Oh
release
yeah,
it
you
on
should
there.
you should watch that first.
Yeah, I was like, otherwise I'm gonna be very confused. I finally saw Lava though, which is that little short about the volcano.
Oh yeah,
That's a good one. I really like that one
I love
too.
that they're all on there. I mean, Disney Plus is. I first night I was, after watching The Mandalorian, I just went through the full list and added everything even remotely interesting, and so I've got this super long watch list. And if you had told me a month ago that the thing I would be spending the most of my time on would be Marvel movies and Boy Meets World,
Dude,
I'd be like, you're
yes.
out of your mind. But sure enough, like, I just keep bouncing between MCU movie, more Boy Meets World, MCU movie, Boy Meets World.
That is so great. Okay, my question too about Boy Meets World specifically: does it hold the episode that you were on? Because I feel like I've been having a problem with that, where it doesn't stay. I have to go find where I left off.
Yep,
Which
that's what I have to do as well. Although I feel like every day they're making little improvements. My
so
big
yeah,
my big pet peeve up until this point, up until today actually, was it wasn't showing. My watch list was there and I'd go into the film, but it would still give me the option to add to my watch list even though it was there.
yeah.
So I couldn't remove it from my watch list unless I added it
Um,
again and then removed. It's like annoying. It's such a minor thing, but like every day going on and going, oh, okay, they fixed that. That works too. Oh, cool. They're adding resume and restart buttons. That's great.
yeah,
And that stuff all should have been there day one. It's not like streaming's a new concept, but
yeah.
they're moving pretty quickly on resolving it. So hopefully they will track where you are in shows, because yeah, I have been having to go through and be like, all right, what episode am I up to, and
Yeah,
just restart from there.
from what I heard from last week, you're on season 2 at least of Boy Meets World. Or are you on season 3?
No, I'm on season one still.
Oh,
I was
season 1.
just
Sorry.
browsing the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was trying to I was like, how long does this run? And then the math in my head didn't work out when I saw, oh, there's 7 seasons. And I remember from my first time watching that they were like in college. And I was like, this makes a sense. Season 1 says they're in the 6th grade. Where's the gap? And the gap's coming. But this is like the old days of television where each season's 22 episodes, which is just like, that's so much television.
There's so much, and there is a drastic tonal change between like seasons 1 and then 2, and it's like all baseball and fun times. There's like the carnival music, and then it's like, oh yeah, we're in high school now. Like, it's pretty rad, isn't it? Like, so I'm excited. Man, Boy Meets World is such a good show. I love
Just
it.
looking at the thumbnails, I do like how they lay out, and this is so minor UI stuff to get into it, but like I do like on their website how it's season 1 is its own row, season 2's a
Yes.
row. I know sometimes they'll do like a drop down where you switch, but I do like that I can just basically in this one screen get access to everything, and seeing just season 7 Corey Matthews and season 1 Corey Matthews. It's just like, wow, these kids really do just grow up with the show.
It's drastic. It's very drastic. Are you gonna watch Girl Meets World?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. I probably won't do the whole run. I don't even know how long it ran for, but I'll check out the pilot.
2 or 3 seasons. I actually did watch the whole thing, but they start to. You have to almost watch Boy Meets World to really get an appreciation, because they lean so hard into some of that stuff, and some of the lessons they learned are like copy paste ish from the old ones. So
That's
it's
cool. That's like I'm always fascinated by their attempts to capture nostalgia,
yeah.
and I'm surprised to even hear if it ran 2-3 seasons. It's more than I thought it would, because I always feel like you're never going to grab the attention of young kids because they don't know what Boy Meets World is. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's the parents who remember Boy Meets World. But how long does that nostalgia last? Are you going to watch multiple seasons of something. I think the best example of how to recapture that nostalgia was the Rocko's Modern Life movie,
Oh, okay.
where it's like, all right, it's one movie. You're going to go in, you're going to get all the nostalgia. We're going to give you a really cool message that I think really tied in well to that nostalgia. And then that's it. You're out.
Yeah.
It's not hoping that you're going to be into it enough to watch 10 episodes, every year to revisit that nostalgia. But I think there's a big question that Disney Plus is going to face, because everything I've been seeing online is, oh, all these movies and shows from my childhood are back, and this is so great to revisit. How long lasting is that?
Yeah.
Before they really need to lean on their original content, before people go, well, great, yeah, Boy Meets World's fantastic, but I've seen it twice now, and that's it. I don't need to keep rewatching it.
Yeah. Nope, you're definitely right. I'm interested to see that too. So start working on Mandalorian season 3. I was gonna start working on get all that stuff. Get those
Cassian Andor.
Oh my gosh,
I want that so bad,
dude. If anybody, okay, fight me on this, people. Rogue One is great. It's in my top 3 Star Wars films of all time, and here's the reason. One of the reasons why Cassian Andor, perfect representation of why there's some gray in the good old rebellion. Guess what? It's not all black and white. He's gonna have to do some bad stuff, and I am all about that. Do I know what happens to Cassian? Yeah, I do. But guess what? I don't care. Show me the past.
It's about the journey. It's about the journey.
Give me that sweet journey, man. Give me that Rogue One journey.
He literally shot a good guy in the back.
I love it.
Just to get away alive. Like, that's the kind of character I want to know more about.
Yes.
I would. They won't do it, but I would love if they spun off some of the other characters from Rogue One.
Yes.
Maybe not Jyn, because I think we got her childhood in the movie, but just like everyone else.
Shiritan Bay's buddy cop movie. They're guarding the temple. Every day is hard.
Them in particular would be great. Maybe not so much. Was it Brody, the pilot?
Oh, Bodhi.
He's
kind of meh. He gets tortured.
I feel like it's going to be a standard backstory, because we got him at the crucial point where he's changing, and he has that turn. But just explore more. I'm really surprised we're not getting a Galaxy's Edge show.
Oh,
and my conspiracy theory
good.
has been, if you look at everything Lucasfilm puts out that is an official timeline, and I saw it first at D23 and noticed it, and then they noticed that they're putting it out there where they show the timeline of where all the movies take place and where all the shows take place. There's also Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It's the only non-movie or show that is always on this timeline, and I know it's probably just because it's the theme park and they want to promote it, but there's also a part of my brain going, does that mean we're getting a show or a movie? Are we getting something that's, follows Vi and her adventures on Batuu? Like, give us a show for that. Why not? Sell your park and, give us a cool story at the same time.
I'm going to say it's a year and a half out. They're going to wait. Not that the attendance is going to drop a ton, but make it hot again. They're going to be like, oh, we need a spike. So let's just, hey, the show, if you want to know more about the show, go to the park.
And then you start introducing characters from the show into the park. Walk around characters. Like, come on,
oh my
Disney.
gosh, is this a season? Are you from season 2, friend? And they just wouldn't talk to you. They're like, wait, what? Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Well, Rob, I know we're on a little bit of a time schedule here today, so let's move on, because I could talk to you all day, because you're just so wonderful. I really do mean it. But let's move into the next segment of the show we've kind of been talking about the whole time, but it's time killers, or as we like to say, time killers. It's the games we've been playing, which we've already talked about, the movies and TV shows we've been viewing. But is there anything else besides Disney Plus Star Wars? I mean, that's pretty much it, right?
That's more or less. I've been reading Star Wars books again.
Oh, there you go. Cool.
I haven't been doing since Galaxy's Edge opened. Some really great ones, some not so great ones, which has always been the case with the expanded universe. Really loved everything by Claudia Gray, my new favorite Star Wars author. She did Lost Stars, which kind of sounds and is pitched as like a young adult romance, but it's actually one of the best Star Wars books I've read ever.
Oh, cool.
And it basically follows, without spoiling anything, 2 characters throughout their life from kids to adults, which happens concurrently with the original trilogy. So you get different perspectives of everything going on, from like the perspective of just normal people who aren't part of maybe necessarily the rebellion. But that's been fantastic. I read her Princess Leia, Princess of Alderaan book. Fantastic. That shows her teenage years before joining the rebellion. And then I'm in the middle, actually, of her Bloodlines book at the moment, where it's kind of her post episode 7 No, post episode 6, pre episode 7.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's my like go to bed, sleep before I fall asleep kind of thing. And anything with Claudia Gray on it and Star Wars has been fantastic.
Cool. Reminds me of a show, by the way, that you pitched, I think a while ago. That first book you're talking about, where they could do a Star Wars show where it's from multiple perspectives, where it's like a stormtrooper's perspective when they blew up the Death Star. Like,
Yes.
or something like that. I think that'd be cool to do like a almost Black Mirror-esque show where it was just every episode was a different perspective throughout time. It was like, oh, this is the time period. This is what happened.
There's a book that actually, it's a short story compilation called From a Certain Point of View. And it is
that's what it is.
Plot of episode 4 through different characters that the main characters are most of the time coming in contact with at some point or another. And sometimes it's major, like Grand Moff Tarkin. Sometimes it's minor, and it's just like somebody in the cantina. Other times it's unexpected, and it's like the mouse droid that gets scared away in that one shot. And it's just, they all tie, and it's all chronological with episode 4. So it starts with
Oh,
the
cool.
Taint of 4 getting chased, and ends with the celebration on Yavin. So it's a very interesting way to see the film.
That's cool. Yeah. See, I would like that as a TV show. That'd be interesting, I think, too. Disney Plus, get on it. Yeah, I guess for me, it's been mostly Jedi Fallen Order, and I've been watching a lot of Gargoyles, which I gotta say, in the first 7 or 8 episodes, covers a lot of ground. It has 5-episode intro, and then there's just like distrust for humanity. There's a gun violence and safety episode that I was not ready for, that just kind of came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh my gosh, the show gets like pretty serious, and it's really fun. I really enjoy it. So Gargoyles, man, and that theme song is so killer. It's the best. I love it.
People on Twitter were saying like, oh, check this out, this show's so good. I was like, this has to be all nostalgia talking. Like, every animated show is the best show, every kid show's the best show. I finished the first 2 episodes, and I'm like, this is a genuinely great animated series.
Yes,
it aged pretty well.
Yeah, and
I want more of it.
Yeah, dude, I'm waiting. I wonder if Disney's like, because they tweeted out something about that. They're like, yeah, we're just obsessed with Gargoyles. I wonder if that's their way of being like, would anybody like a live action TV show of Gargoyles? I mean,
that would be pretty cool, actually.
I could see him doing it. I could see him doing it, man. Yeah. Oh man, and yeah, that show.
I'd be going through it faster if not for my rewatch of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has been like eating up my time.
Which is your favorite so far from the ones you've gone back to?
I just started Iron Man 3. I've been also watching these in like segments for some reason. I rarely have been sitting down. I think Captain America aged better than I remember it being, which I still don't think it's a good movie necessarily.
Wait, the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when I saw it, I walked away going, the first half of this movie was way better than the second half of this movie. I loved everything about them in Brooklyn, his origin, the World's Fair, just like all that stuff. And then when they actually get to Europe, I'm like, blah, I don't care. Red Skull did not interest me at all. Rewatching it, I think the second half was a lot stronger than I remember it being.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because now I know that this is almost in a weird way the first step in like all of this stuff, especially with the Tesseract and everything. I still think the Red Skull aged. I think there's the most comic booky of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in that he just looks like a 90s comic book movie.
Sure,
with makeup. But it aged better than I remember it being. I enjoyed it more the second time around.
I love that movie. I know you don't think maybe it's a good movie. I love it. I love a period piece, Rob. I love a period piece.
I love those parts the most. I remember being frustrated the first time I saw it because it does the montage of him going to all the factories and taking them out. And I'm like, I want to see this stuff. Why are we skipping over this stuff? This should be this should be Captain America 1 and 2 here. Why are we jumping so far ahead? But I appreciated it a lot more the second time around. Thor felt more so self-contained the second time around.
Yeah.
It's weird. You're so used to like now the modern Marvel Cinematic movies where it's all around the world, giant set pieces. And here it's like, oh, it's a small town and more of a small town. And then you get a little bit of like Thor's world, but mostly just the small town.
With those sweet Dutch angles. It's like,
So many Dutch angles.
the whole movie is Dutch angles. It's like every scene.
Prove that.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like so uneasy. It's like, why every scene? Like
certain times it works, other times, most of the time it doesn't. Maybe it was like a bad boom operator and the boom was always in the shot, so they're like, blow it up and like tilt it, get the boom out of there.
Maybe that's what it was.
Dutch angle, but it was just so many of them. It was ridiculous.
I guess the director's kind of known for them, but yeah, it's like, whoa, this seems like not in the MCU almost sometimes because you're like, wow, every angle. I'm
only. It's funny now starting Iron Man 3. I had totally forgotten what Iron Man 3 was about. Like completely.
It's The Incredibles.
I had never seen it.
Yeah, it's just
yeah. It's. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Thor: Dark World because I haven't seen it yet.
I want to please let me know what you think of those. Yeah, Iron Man 3 is all right. I mean, like I said, it's like The Incredibles, so I mean, like you got to keep that in mind. And it's not a bad movie. I've been listening to Bob Iger's book, by the way, because I want to do a review of it to help me do like the review thing. Christine did one too, and one of the funniest things about it is like Bob Iger talks about that Steve Jobs called him up after watching Iron Man 2, and he's like, "This movie's crap," and and Bob Iger's like, "I know."
Yeah, I don't get it. I thought it was fine.
It's fine. I just love that in the book, Bob Iger's like, yeah, I knew it wasn't an Oscar contender, but like, I knew it wasn't for Steve Jobs. He's like, my friend Steve. I was like, yeah, you're not gonna like this movie, but or he's like, I took him.
Sounded like the kind of person where you just be afraid to share the things you loved because most of the time he'd probably hate it.
He's like, I brought him to Art of Animation, one of our budget hotels, and I guess it wasn't the best idea. And I was like, what were you? I love it. Like Bob's just trying. He's like, look at this cool thing. He's like, this is stupid. This is horrible. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. Can't press him.
Everyone's got their own taste.
But anyway, watch Gargoyles. Go check. Everybody watch more Gargoyles. It's really a good show. Goliath, man. I love him, and it's very. If you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they have basically every turtle in there in the show. They're a little different, that kind of the archetype of it all. But if you enjoyed those shows, it's like that.
You mean figuratively, they're all in there?
Oh no, they're figuratively. Yeah, sorry, not like they're not literally. No,
is this part of the Ninja Turtle universe?
That would be incredible. I've always thought the show would either fit well with either old Batman, like Batman animated series, or like Batman Beyond, because there's all like the laser weapons. Like they'll never meet, but I always thought, that would be kind of cool.
Somewhere it's that same world, yeah.
Somewhere.
I've been rewatching Clone Wars too, which I never had watched in completion. I only always ever got into the second season.
Yeah.
And I was really blown away at how they have a chronological order to watch the show in.
Are you going to watch it that way?
I started watching it that way, and at first I was like, this can't be right. This makes no sense. You start in season 3, you jump to season 2, then to 1, and then back to 3. It's like, none of this makes any sense. And then I'm watching it, and I was like, wow, this actually all now makes sense. What happened? I want to know the story of this show that somehow in the 3rd season, they're like, let's make this episode that's before everything. Like, it's just, I wonder if it's like production mix-ups or something, or it's just the way they chose to tell the story. But it's surprising how well the chronological order works.
Sounds like a good video idea. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say.
I had thought every time I see it mentioned, I try to look into like, is there a story here? Was there like a producer who got fired or like an episode that was lost and then they reintroduced? Like, because with TV, you always hear that where they like especially the network, they'll air things out of order and then that messes everything up. I don't know if it was that or just weird storytelling.
Yeah. Dave Filoni though. That guy seems to get Star Wars, at least for me. I like it. I like how he tells stories. I'm like, that's why Rebels is good. Rebels is good too.
Yeah, that's one I need to finish. I watched like the first 2 seasons, and I need to go back and finish it.
Just the beginning of season 2 with a little bit of that Vader action. Oh my goodness, I love it. There's like, we got to get out of here, and I'm like, that's right, everybody run. Here comes my boy. I mean, I'm kind of a fan, as you can tell. Yeah, I've got the Vader card and everything. Don't worry about it. Disney's like, this is perfect. This is perfect. Well, let's move into the last segment of the show. My personal favorite, just briefly, community feedback and questions. I think we only have one question here for you this week, which is good because we're having so much fun here.
I saw Christine sent one.
Oh, she did. Oh my gosh, we have a few questions here. Oh my gosh, I have to ask you what your favorite pasta is. We haven't talked about the TTA enough. Also, she wants an elevator pitch on the Rob Vacation Club. What are the amenities? Right. Is there a pool? Is there a branded magnet I can add to my collection?
Oh boy. All right. Well, Christine, first off, you should know my favorite pasta is rotini. It's the best pasta. I don't even have to explain why. It just is, all right? It's swirls.
Sure.
RVC is the Rob's Vacation Club because now that I live in Florida, she's going to come visit all the time and stay here instead of staying at Disney. I can tell you the amenities are an air mattress, a towel, We do have a pool, no magnet unless you steal one off the fridge. Please don't do that. Those are our magnets. You can't have those. And did I mention the air mattress? There's an air mattress.
Uh,
Welcome to RVC. Our
the,
points are very expensive.
I was gonna say your elevator pitch is it's a little rough, but I like it. I was gonna say I want to be part of this club, but
Welcome to RVC. We're getting a futon maybe one day.
Maybe perfect. We got him. All the amenities of the DVC, but not. It's okay. This one also comes in from, is it Pirate Dino 6? What is the one question you've always wanted to answer, but there just isn't enough information or data out there to do that? I'm guessing for your videos.
Yeah, two of them that are killing me. One of them is, and the one that everybody's asked for is like how much Disney spends on fireworks every year.
Oh, sure.
And that's something they just hold so close to the chest that I don't know.
Yeah.
Whenever I can get data from like what they do, it's oftentimes through Reedy Creek, which is the government jurisdiction they operate in, and so that becomes public, electric, water, that sort of thing. But fireworks is all private, so they don't let that out. And the other one is whenever they lay down paper tape for parades and fireworks, I want to know how much tape they go through a day. And that's one they will probably never let go because it probably won't look good PR wise. But I've let's just say I've been toying around with ideas for like the last year of the best way to go about estimating how much tape they use. But every time I feel like I've got a grasp, I find out they're using tape for something else. And I was like, I didn't even know about this thing now. And it's just, they must be going through tons of paper tape. But yeah, those are the two that like they're my white whale. If I do those two, I could just finish the channel.
Oh, perfect. How about the red light on top of Dolphin?
I would love to know more. I feel like I've kind of started to give up hope on finding out enough. I found out a little bit more than what that video puts out there, but not enough for an actual answer. Just sort of like leads that have led to dead ends at the moment. But I will say it's involved reaching out to the FCC. Why am I blanking? FAA. Sorry, yeah, FAA. I've been on threads with FAA. Been on threads with Disney, and there's just like I can't find a real clear-cut answer.
Sure,
It's one of those things where I think it just aged out, and everybody involved in the company now hasn't been around during it, and so they're not sure. But every time I see the hotel, I look at it and I'm like, "Where's that red light?"
Yeah. My white whale for you has always been just operating costs one day at Magic Kingdom, all of it.
That's interesting. I feel like you could do an average of that.
Yeah, with all the
like revenues and expenditures,
cast members and like food and all that stuff, and guessing at the fireworks and all those things. It'd be interesting.
Disney Dan has told me multiple times, he's like, you could just count the fireworks. Just go count them and find the price of a firework. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Just sitting there every night, just staring.
Exactly. He's the same guy who pushed me to count all the toys in Toy Story.
Yeah.
That was more than enough. So I'm not doing that. Especially you got to count for all the holiday variations that they do, and then the times where they're canceled. And I'm sure it's a lot. And I don't even know the first thing and how you'd price what is a firework? How much is that? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a world I know nothing of. So I figured that's the kind of thing if Disney ever wanted to put it out there, they would. But yeah, they share some things. A lot of the food facts I get from them directly, and a lot of it from Reedy Creek, but just some they keep really close to the chest.
Yeah. When they brought up Reedy Creek in the documentary Imagineering Story, I was like, I know all about this thanks to my friend Rob. Like, I was like,
watching those episodes, it's like me running through a checklist of like, did it, want to do it? Should I do it now that it's been covered here? I don't know.
Yeah.
The one that I've been like toying with for a long time that they mentioned in the episode is how they built their Reedy Creek. I think it was their energy facility had a solar panel roof that was both powering the building and acting as roof and working for cooling. And I never had any footage of that building, so I never really went into doing a video on it. And now there's perfect footage, but also I feel like it's been covered in a way that I don't need to really cover it now. So
sure.
Probably won't.
Yeah. Last question here. This comes from our Discord, Missilmage, who's always asking questions. Thank you. And you kind of brought it up earlier, so I wanted to come back to it. But he said, what's your favorite part of Fallen Order so far that makes you really feel like you're in Star Wars? He says, I haven't played it yet, so can't speak to the mechanics, but the Stormtrooper talk is 100% gold. I feel like that might be it.
That is a fantastic part of it. For me, it's like, I don't know. I think that first introductory level on the shipyard,
Sure.
that did it for me big time. Seeing all of the Clone Wars era ships there, and just hearing people talk about the Empire. Like for me, the best lines of dialogue, and again, I'm only 2 hours in, so I'm sure I haven't heard most of it. But when his friend starts talking about how the pay was better during the Republic.
Oh, sure.
He walks over, he's like, hey, just like, you shouldn't be talking like that. Like that put me in the world way more than anything else so far, because that was the tone of the era, was like the Empire is always listening, watch what you say, this is the new. So like those little touches I think help a lot, rather than the, oh, I've got a lightsaber and I'm dismembering people. This is just, I feel like I'm in Star Wars. It's those little touches.
Yeah, for sure. I think I agree with you, and I also, for some odd reason, the seats on the Mantis themselves, when you have to sit down in like these kind of old, like kind of leathery looking weird, like if you walk around and look at the detail of the space in the ship, that feels so Star Warsy to me. And just going to light speed, just like hopping in your ship, going up in the atmosphere, light speed, and then you land at a place. I'm like, oh, yeah. That's, to me, that feels like very like, okay, I wish I could almost pilot it myself, but I understand that's awesome. We're getting there, Rob. One day, maybe.
Star Wars, yeah. I want a Star Wars game that is piloting primarily. That's not like X-Wing and TIE Fighter again.
Yeah.
I want one that is. Can you imagine a game where you're building out your ship? You could buy newer model ships. You could upgrade it with different parts and stuff, and you're doing missions and stuff. Like, Disney does not capitalize on this IP nearly as much as they should.
I know, it bothers me because you're like, oh, you could like hire like an Ugnaught for your crew, like it's Nick Nolte, and he's like, I have spoken, and you're like, oh, thank you for putting on that new engine or turbine for me, my friend. Like,
what if you did like an Assassin's Creed style like
boat?
You can hire other ships. You buy other ships that you send on missions and then bring in credits, and like that's just everything I want in a Star Wars game. And we don't have it.
It's just EA one day when they let go of that iron grip they have on the Star Wars franchise. Whenever that's done, we'll see if Disney renews that or not. I don't know how it all works. It's money and confusion.
Wasn't it a 10-year contract or something?
Yeah,
it was pretty long.
And they've had it for quite a while, so we'll see if Battlefront 3 is a thing. But anyway, that's going to do it for the show this week, because again, like, we could just talk all day, and I would love to. But you know what? If you ever have a question or a topic for the show, all you have to do is you can hit us up on our Discord or hit me up on Twitter. You just use the hashtag Critical Podcast. I'm at JimmyGood013 if you want to find me personally. But if you just want to tweet at Rob, say hi to Rob, maybe suggest a video idea, tell him how good he's doing. Rob, where can they find you and your YouTube and all that?
So on YouTube, I'm at Rob Plays That Game, or if you just search Rob Plays, you should find it. And then on Twitter, I am also at Rob Plays.
Yeah, and usually we promote our own Patreon here, but please, I am actually a patron of Rob, so please go support Rob this week if you can. If you like Disney or any of that stuff, it really is good, high-quality stuff. Even the thumbnails, he takes a long time to make. Thanks. Like, he makes really good thumbnails, and I should know, because I only have Adobe Premiere Pro. I do not have Photoshop, so my thumbnails are mostly just a picture with another thing on it. So I appreciate the work that you put into your thumbnails, because it's very good. It really is. Honestly, you put a lot of time into those. So please go support Rob. He deserves it. And Rob, congratulations on your continued success. The channel seems to be kind of growing and growing all the time. It's nice to see that. Yeah,
it's been a wild journey.
Yeah, it's good. Well, it's well deserved, and I appreciate you being on the show. You are always welcome. Thank you.
Anytime. It's fun.
Well, thank you.
It gives me a good reason to play video games, force myself to sit down and play them.
Well, I'm always happy to be that enabler. I will just, if you ever feel like you can't get into something, you're like, I need a reason, just text me and I'll just be like, Rob, just play this game. All right, we'll talk about it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And thank you for everybody for tuning in to check out this episode of the show. We do appreciate it. And remember, until next week, to adapt and overcome.